and welcome to Think Watercolour. Today I'm painting a fast and loose watercolour sketch based on this reference photo that I downloaded from Unsplash. I'll put a reference in the description below. This is a nice composition with the angle of the treetops and the near riverbank creating opposing diagonals, drawing the eye to the tallest tree, which along with the horizon line nicely fits with the rule of thirds. My aim with this demonstration is to interpret the scene rather than try to make an exact copy. I like the way the morning sunlight's hitting the building in the background, which is also reflected in the river. I think the foreground snow is a little dark, so I'm going to try and lighten it a little and hopefully improve the composition. I also want the buildings to be more loosely defined so that the focal point of the tallest tree is more prominent. My idea for this demonstration is to show how you can reinterpret a reference image without losing the essence of the composition, and how to paint loosely whilst maintaining the key compositional elements. So let's get started. I've loosely sketched the image on some Saunders Waterford 300 gram rough paper, and this is cerulean blue and a touch of cobalt blue for the sky. I'm trying to keep the sky lighter towards the left where the morning sun is breaking through, and using some clear water to weaken the wash as it comes down to the horizon line behind the trees. This is some cadmium yellow and a touch of orange just for the background buildings, just a suggestion that they're there. This is the initial wash, just indicates some taller parts of the building. Most of this will be covered on the left by the trees, but just want to get some colour in early on with the background wash, and I'll do the same for the reflection for the where the sunlight's hitting the buildings. Not being too specific, painting fairly loosely, trying to keep the buildings and the reflection pretty vague. The main focus is going to be the tallest tree. I'm using the same mix as the sky with a little touch of burnt sienna just to grey the blue a little bit for the shadows on the snow on the far bank, just leaving some of it whiter than the reference image, just to brighten the image up a little bit. And there's a patch of ice on the far side of the river, so I've just greyed the mix a little bit more for that. Just putting the shadow area in the bank on this side of the river. The sun's pretty low, so there's not a lot of light in the reference image, but just as I say, I want to brighten the painting up a little bit more than the reference. This is some burnt sienna with a touch of sepia, just loosely indicating an impression of the bulk of the branches on the distant trees. And with some clear water, I'm just softening the wash, the edges of the wash, so that it blends into the background a little bit more. Just adding a little bit more burnt sienna, just to bring that nice sienna colour into play. Just dropping more pigment, wet into wet, letting it all blend together. As I say, it's an impression rather than an exact copy of the reference. Just using the side of a rigger to pick up the texture of the rough paper for the top of the trees, the branches where the light's shining through them. Just an indication of what's there. When you're working from reference like this, it's always a good idea to squint your eyes a little bit so that you just get the basic tonal values. This is mostly sepia for the branches and twigs at the top of the trees on the right. As I said earlier, this is a very quick sketch. If I'm happy with it, I may work it up and do a larger version as a finished piece of work. Just using a rigger here. It's a number 0 rigger for the tall trees on the right. Not slavishly copying the reference photo, but getting them reasonably similar. I like the way that the trees are spread out on the right and there's light coming through. The mix I'm using here is quite thick. It's almost straight from the tube. Not a lot of water, so that when it dries, they remain quite dark. Just using the side of the rigger just to indicate some bushes and saplings at ground level behind these trees, or amongst the trees I should say. There are 1 or 2 saplings growing out of the river bank in the snow. Again, using the side of the rigger for the undergrowth under that those trees that are. It's more of a wood on the left, but there are areas of light shining through where the morning sun is low in the sky. As I've said on many occasions before, if you mess things up, you can always start again. and it's only a sketch at the end of the day. It's just a piece of paper and some coloured water. Just enjoy the process and have some fun doing things like this. Just strengthening some of the upper branches on these trees. Again, it's very impressionistic. It's just the side of the rigger picking up the tooth of the rough paper. Just adding a tree by the side of the river. I'll put some white gouache on towards the end of the painting just to indicate some snow lying on the branches of that tree. This is sienna mixed with some ultramarine just for the dark shadow on the far riverbank. Just using some burnt sienna on the left side of some of the trees and in the upper branches, just to suggest sunlight, morning sunlight hitting them, and tops of these trees on the left too. Just warms up the look of the tree. Just dabbing out a little bit too much paint, but just dabbed it out with some clean kitchen towel. This is just a weak mix of sienna for the reflection in the river. Just the background colour. Just dropping in some of that burnt sienna just to reflect that colour in the middle part of the trees above. Just added the trees. I forgot to turn the camera on. Apologies for that. Again, it's just sepia, fairly neat, and I'm just softening the reflection on the left as it's a little bit further away and less distinct than the reflection right in front of us where the tallest tree is and the building. Just trying to maintain that look of sunlight hitting the building in the reflection as well. Just putting the shadow from that tree that's leaning over the river into the reflection. Just defining the edge of the ice as well with a little bit of a dark shadow. This is neat white gouache just to add a little bit of snow on some of the leaning branches. Just putting in a few twigs sticking up through the snow in the foreground on the left, just to add a little bit of balance to the painting. A few more little twigs on the far bank as well, just to break up that that bank a little bit. It was a bit flat for me. I think we're pretty much done. I've made a few little tweaks, just tidied up the building reflections a little bit and brightened them up. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you found this demonstration useful. I just wanted to show how you can very quickly do a loose impressionist sketch from a reference photograph, but still retain the basic structure and detail and the composition, and how to paint reflections effectively without being too pedantic about them. The eye will do most of the work for you as long as you've got the main features on the reflection correct. It should look fine. If you enjoyed this demonstration, please give it a like. It always helps with YouTube. Do subscribe and hit the notification bell for future videos. And thanks again for watching.